Genesis 50. Then Joseph hugged his father's face. He wept over him and kissed him. Joseph instructed the physician in his service to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel. They took 40 days, for that is the full time needed for embalming. The Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. When the days of mourning had passed, Joseph said to Pharaoh's royal court, if I have found favor in your sight, please say to Pharaoh, my father made me swear an oath. He said, I am about to die. Bury me in my tomb that I dug for myself there in the land of Canaan. Now let me go and bury my father, then I will return. So Pharaoh said, go and bury your father, just as he made you swear to do. So Joseph went up to bury his father. All Pharaoh's officials went with him, the senior courtiers of his household, all the senior officials of the land of Egypt, all Joseph's household, his brothers and his father's household. And they left their little children and their flocks and their herds in the land of Goshen. Chariots and horsemen also went up with him. So it was a very large entourage. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad at the other side of Jordan, they mourned there with the very great and bitter sorrow. There Joseph observed a 7-day period of mourning for his father. When the Canaanites who lived in the land saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, this is a very sad occasion for the Egyptians. This is why the name was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond the Jordan. So the sons of Jacob did for him just as he had instructed them. His sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, near Mamre, that is the field Abraham purchased as a burial plot from Ephron the Hittite. After he buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, along with his brothers and all who had accompanied him to bury his father. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, What if Joseph bears a grudge and wants to repay us in full for the harm we did to him? So they sent word to Joseph saying, your father gave these instructions before he died. Tell Joseph this, please forgive the sin of your brothers and the wrong they did when they treated you so badly. Now please forgive the sin of your servants of the God of your father. When this message was reported to him, Joseph wept. Then his brothers also came and threw themselves down before him. They said, here we are your slaves. But Joseph answered them, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant to harm me, but God intended for a good purpose, so he could preserve the lives of many people, as you can see this day. So now don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your little children. Then he consoled them, and he spoke kindly to them. Joseph lived in Egypt along with his father's family. Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw the descendants of Ephraim to the 3rd generation. He also saw the children of Machir, the sons of Manasseh. They were given special inheritance rights by Joseph. Then Joseph said to his brothers, I am about to die, but God will surely come to you and lead you up from this land to the land he swore an oath to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Joseph made the sons of Israel swear an oath. He said, God will surely come to you, then you must carry my bones up from this place. So Joseph died at the age of 110. After they embalmed him, his body was placed in a coffin in Egypt. Bum, bum, bum. We have finished. We still got to discuss it, but we finished it. Shai, why do you think God doesn't reveal himself to us in our physical eyes? Frank Turek said, I believe if he showed himself took free will and form away from us. You think that's the case too? I think that's the case too, and guess although it's because of Adam's sin too, I guess maybe. I would say, I don't think he needs to. That's what I would say. God has given us his word. He has revealed to us in his word all that we need to know. From time to time, he reveals other things to us from the word of someone else. He also reveals to us sometimes in dreams. So I don't think God is needed to show up and reveal himself to us today in the same way. And most people who do have dreams will talk about Jesus showing up to them in a dream. So Jesus is the one who most often is going to show up in dreams to people. So I think it's unnecessary, not because we can't handle it. I think it's not needed. So why would God go do something that's not needed? He has given to us as the church the work of doing the things. He has given us these scriptures in order to share the message, and we don't need anything more than that. So that would be my thoughts. Yeah, people be asking and saying if God showed up himself, they would believe in worship. Yeah, and we have the story of Abraham's bosom, where the rich man says, hey, go show up to my brothers who aren't here. They'll believe and not be in torment. And the message is they have the prophets. They have the prophets, and they don't believe. God showing up isn't going to cause them. We also have the religious leaders who see Jesus show up and do miracles, not believe. So God showing up is not going to be the thing that will cause people to believe. So it's not needed. I made it. God's been showing me things. Hey, Southside TV Live, thank you for the biddies. Okay, so we've got Genesis 50 here to finish, and we done. So, yeah, you made it here. Yeah, I got it. I got what you meant. You made it here. Yep. I gotcha. Joseph hugs his father's face. Interesting, we have face there. What do we have in the footnote? Fell on. Oh, okay. Describing the unstrained sorrow. So we have Joseph as a man who can, like, full on, weeping, kissing, expressing emotions. He can't do it when his brothers are around. He is a man of emotion and a man of great power. I love that the two go together. Joseph gives instructions to them to embalm. It takes 40 days to embalm. Interesting that it's 40 days. 40 days is a time of testing. I wonder if this is the first time 40 shows up. Let me just go look. Genesis 50. We're going to look up some other words anyway. No, it can't because there's 40 days and 40 nights, so I don't need to look that up. Duh, 40 days and 40 nights already showed up. So anyway, 40, just interesting, coinciding there. And then the Egyptians mourn for 70 days. 70 days, probably referring to the time of national mourning. But also 70 is the number of nations. So in essence, 70 days of mourning is a mourning of the nations, mourning over the death of Jacob. Because all of the nations on earth are going to be blessed through him. Now all of the nations are mourning over them. So, bless you, Pastor. Thank you. God loves us. 40 is when you started a real life. Amen. Oh, yeah. Super cool. Anytime you start, super cool. So 70, I think 70 is tying to the number of nations. A representative there. It could have also just been corresponding to, but if it's one day of mourning for every one of the nations, I think that's super cool. When the days of mourning had ended, he goes to Pharaoh's royal court. He is petitioning the royal court to go on his behalf to Pharaoh. Why is he not going to Pharaoh directly? He's been weeping and mourning and all of that, so maybe he can't actually feel he can go in the presence. But he says, my father made me swear, I'm about to die, bury me here, now let me go and bury. So Pharaoh said, go and bury your father, just as he made you swear to do. So maybe he goes with them, but he can't, say the words, you go with me, you bring the petition. I'm not sure exactly if there's something like that going on there, but the answer is directly to Joseph. Go and do what you're supposed to. So Joseph went to bury his father. All of Pharaoh's officials went with him, the senior courtiers in his household, all the senior officials in the land of Egypt, all of Joseph's household, his brothers, his father's household, but they left their children and their flocks. So the children don't all get to go up. The elders, the dignitaries, the senior leaders are all going up. They leave the children behind in the land of Goshen. Chariots and horsemen. There is a huge entourage that is going up to Atad. Okay, let me see what we have here in the footnote for Atad. The location of the threshing floor of Atad is not certain. The expression "and other side of the Jordan" could refer to the eastern or western bank, depending on one's perspective. However, it is commonly used in the Old Testament for Transjordan. This would suggest that the entourage came up the Jordan Valley and crossed into the land of Jericho, just as the Israelites would do in the time of Joshua. Yeah, that's how I'm thinking it, but they didn't tell me the name of Atad. So, or Atad. So they come to the threshing floor of Atad. It's just a small threshing floor. It's a tad of a threshing floor. Ha, ha, ha. Oops, I didn't want to go. We'll do it anyway.
Strong's H, 329. Atad. Atad.
Okay, so it means thorn, bramble, buckthorn, a specific kind of thorn. So it's a thorn. The threshing floor of a thorn. That's fascinating. Why would that be? Because of sorrow, perhaps, because you're being pricked by the thorns of the sorrow of the threshing floor. And they spend 7 days there mourning. It is a total mourning festival. So we have 7 days for 70 days for national mourning, 7 days here of mourning at the or before the burial at the threshing floor. They called the place Abel Mizraim. The name Abel Mizraim means the mourning of Egypt. So it's called the mourning of Egypt because Egypt is there and mourning. So the sons of Jacob did for him just as he had instructed. His sons carried him to the land. And then we go through the whole, here's where it is. It's the land. It's this. Okay. And it takes the time to repeat all of these. It's in the cave of, it's in the field of, it's near Mamre. It's the field that Abraham purchased. It's the burial plot of from Ephron the Hittite. So Joseph returns to Egypt along with his brothers and all the company that buried his father. So they bury him, they return. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, what if Joseph bears a grudge and wants to repay us for full for the harm that we did to him? So even though Joseph has been providing and caring for his brothers, they are thinking that this is out of fear of dad. This is out of fear of dad is the only reason he is doing this. He was only loving us while dad was alive, and now he's going to show his true colors. Doesn't this sound normal? Like for families? Like if you've ever gathered together and, the patriarch, the matriarch is there, and you are kind and congenial for the sake of that person, and you leave the room and you go outside or you go somewhere else, and you're just feuding and fuming and all of that stuff. So their suspicion is Joseph was only doing this for the sake of our father. They only loved us in that way. What I wonder is if Benjamin's included in this. I doubt it is. It wouldn't make sense for Benjamin to be in this because he wouldn't have been part of the grudge bearing anyway. Benjamin would not have been. So they send word to Joseph saying, your father gave these instructions. So they come up with a plan to say, Dad said you have to forgive us. Well, if Dad said it, you better do it. Like, right? Right? So we know we treated you badly. We know we sinned. Forgive our sins. When the message is reported to him, Joseph wept. So it's like, it's not bad enough that I had all this time lost with you. Now you don't even believe me. And he repeats what he said before. So that he hears the message and he weeps. Then they come to him and they say, we'll be your slaves. Like they're trying to way to stay alive. Like, how do we stay alive? We know you were ruthless. You know what? We watch what you did to all of Egypt. We're willing to take on being slaves in Egypt, being slaves of you just to be alive. You can rule over the entire family. But Joseph's answer is, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? As for what you meant for harm, but God intended it for good purposes, so he could preserve the lives of many people, as you can see to this day. So Joseph repeats what he has said all along. He has been confident. He has been in the blessing of God. He has been in relationship with God. And when he saw his brothers, he understood that it was God who took and turned the evil thing into something good. Even though their hearts were set on evil, God redeemed the actions they took to carry about the plans that God had. So he hasn't changed his mind. He's reiterating it to his brothers. And then it says, he consoled them and he spoke kindly to them. This is the opposite of what he has done. He did previously when he encountered. He spoke harshly to them and chided them before he revealed himself. Now he's again reiterating the thing that he said before. Look, I haven't changed my mind. Dad wasn't the thing that made me have this opinion. It's my relationship with God and the fulfillment of the dreams that were part of my life and were meant so that you could be saved. Shy. Jacob probably even scolded them or something, you think, after finding out what they did to Joseph? Oh, that's an interesting question. Did they ever tell Jacob what they did? That's a fascinating thing. It doesn't tell us that they confessed to Jacob what they did. They may not have. It's not told that way in the story. They know, and Joseph knows, and they're trying to find a way to make restitution, and Joseph's like, you don't need to. You don't need to. So then we have Joseph lives in Egypt along with his family. Joseph lives 110 years. So it's interesting. Now, Joseph is going to die before many of his brothers. I mean, he's not the oldest. Now, we don't know how many are still alive. We don't get the deaths of everybody here at this time. We just get Joseph is going to die. Why is it important to have Joseph's death in here? Because Joseph is the one with power and rule. So we're going to leave the people at the death of Joseph and pick up in the book of Exodus, where the people have been in slavery for 400 years. Something changed between Joseph and when we pick up. That's why we have all the way to Joseph. So we have his descendants are Ephraim to the third generation. He was blessed to see them. He also saw the son, to the second generation of Manasseh. And we're given special inheritance rights by Joseph. Born on his knees, which implies the adoption by Joseph. Okay, so he saw Machir, they were given special inheritance rights. So, in other words, what we had before of Joseph didn't have his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, they were Jacob's. Now he is taking a son on his knee that is going to be his son in replace of, just like Joseph had said was going to be the case. Okay. Then Joseph calls to his brothers, I'm about to die, but God will surely come to you and lead you up from the land he swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he is now the Behor. He's the one doing the blessings. He doesn't need to give a blessing on all of his brothers. His father has already done that, but he's making them remember the promise. When we are going to go to the land that was swore to our father, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is our land. We're going to leave here eventually. He made the sons of Israel swear an oath. He said, God will surely come to you. Then you must carry my bones up from this place. So it's the bones is the reference to it, but it says he's embalmed. He embalmed his body. He's put in a coffin. But there is the promise. You're going to come out of this land. You need to take me out. Not go bury me now. Why? He's an Egyptian. From the Egyptian perspective, he needs to stay here and be honored as the Egyptians. But when you leave, I'm not to stay and be honored by the Egyptians. I am to go with you and be buried with the ancestors. Which is interesting that when we have this happen, Joseph's bones go up, it says, but we don't have that the bones of any of the brothers end up going up, just Joseph. So we have perhaps all of the brothers buried in Egypt somewhere.